Good evening and welcome to TDOC Talks. I'm Neysa Taylor, Director of Communication for the Tennessee Department of Correction. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a little different. You had me a couple weeks ago and you have me back again. Today it's because AC Sexton is out and about touring a prison, not in this area. But we wanted the show to go on, so we're here today and I'm happy to have with me Deborah Thompson, Director of Volunteer and Religious Services, and Miss Tina Hutchison, volunteer from Holding Out Hope. So thank you ladies for joining me tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
This is a quick conversation, but really also about volunteers and religious services. We have a lot of volunteers that come into our facility every day across the state. How many volunteers do we have?
We approximately have 9,000 plus volunteers coming into our facilities to volunteer and our day reporting centers.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
So what all are they doing? I mean, volunteering.
We have volunteers that volunteer in religious services. We have volunteers that volunteer with our different programs like GED, with our labor force work and development, just a variety of things. We also have volunteers in some of our reentry programs as well.
Okay, so if a volunteer comes in, like what kind of training do they go through to become a volunteer?
They have to go through extensive training, and they go through training with our chaplains. It's usually about a 3-hour training. Everyone does go through NCIC background checks, and once they go through that training, they're taught, we also have mentor training as well. So there's extensive training, so we just don't have people come in and then they don't know what to expect. So it gives them ideas of what to expect, come into the facilities, and also our policies that we have.
Okay, so coming into this environment is a little different than volunteering like at a high school or a college campus. It's a little bit different, obviously much more secure than what you would find out there. Tina, you've been a volunteer with us for many, many years. How many years exactly?
13 years.
That's a long time.
Years, yes.
That's a long time. So tell us about how you became a volunteer and then what do you do on a daily basis when you're here?
My background is music, and so I came in and it was a natural fit for me to take on the choir. So I'm the choir director here. We do programming once a week. It's a 2-hour time slot, and then we work every month. We perform pieces for a variety of different events, and yearly we perform for concerts at Christmas time and things like that for holidays.
Okay, so 13 years. You've seen a lot of women come through your program. What has been the benefit, do you think, of having volunteers working inside the facility? What is the benefit of that?
I think the volunteers bring a different perspective. You know, staff here, they have, they have obvious roles they need to play. So volunteers bring in sometimes a mothering presence, a mentorship presence that's very different than what the staff is able to bring to the women. And so I think we really enhance the restorative and redemptive process if women choose to engage in programming.
So one thing that I like about the volunteer program is that so often we have people who don't think about the people that we serve inside of our facilities, and volunteers are a way for them to actually see them up close and personal, work with them, and also remember that 95% of the people that we service inside are going to be out. So how have you seen volunteers take part in that program, and are there any programs that can actually bridge the gap between inside and outside?
The one program that we have right now that has been around since 2014 is our Take One program. And this program is where we ask faith-based and nonprofit organizations to take one offender and mentor them and their family for up to 1 year prior to their release. 1 year after their release and then 6 months prior to their release to establish a mentorship and relationship with them. And this, we have had very much success with this program. And then just to back up a little bit, most people that volunteer, they're doing this they have a compassion and they have a passion for helping those that are lost, bound, and hurting. And that's why we have volunteers like Tina that have been around for years. This is what they do, and so many of our volunteers have participated in the Take One program, and it has been a success. We have probably close to 500 offenders that have been matched with mentors. So that's potentially 500 people's lives that have been changed and been impacted. And we have over 300 organizations that are part of our Take One program, and we're looking for many more to come and take part of this. This is a way that everybody can get involved.
That sounds quite impactful. So everyone knows that you can come here and volunteer, but there is this hybrid where you can actually volunteer out in the community as well.
Exactly.
As part of Take One.
Yes.
Cool. Now I have to admit that I was eavesdropping on your conversation before we started taping, and you mentioned that there was a success story that you were talking about. Can you give us a little bit about how this success story has come to pass, without going to names, of course, but just share that.
One of the girls that's been a part of my choir, she was partnered, Deborah helped partner her with a mentor. The day that she was released, housing was provided for a week at a hotel. Within 3 days, she had a job. an excellent job, actually. Lots of people within that church, because they're a religious institution that partnered with this particular woman, they gathered donations to secure a place for her, to get clothing for her, to do some of the most basic necessities. And then now she's got a small second job. And all within a week, all of her meds that she needed, that was all taken care of to make sure she was right on track for her emotional and mental wellness. All of those pieces coming together. So already she is set up for success. And I think that's so important for returning citizens who leave these walls. We need to have things in place that set them up for success, not failure.
Exactly. So obviously we've talked about volunteerism, but my question is, when people think about, okay, they're doing choir, or they're having these volunteer programs, and they're thinking, okay, I'm at home, why are they getting all these services when they don't get it at home? What would you say to those people who don't understand that?
Those people who don't understand is there are people who are hurting, that are lost, that are bound. And as you said earlier, offenders, a 90-something% of our offenders are going to be returning back to society. Either we teach them how to be a part of society and be successful and productive citizens, or they're going to turn around and the recidivism rate is going to be higher. All of us have made mistakes, all of us have fallen short, and everybody has needed somebody to help them. And a lot of times people become repeat offenders because there's oftentimes not anybody there as a support system. They feel isolated, they feel alone, and that causes them a lot of times when you don't have someone there that's loving you, that's supporting you, you're going to go back and reoffend. And so we like to offer programs that's going to help change their way of thinking, to help change their mindset, to help change their lifestyle.
So we mentioned churches, and obviously we're thinking about Christian faith, but what if I have a synagogue or a mosque? Could I also take part in the Take One program?
Exactly. In fact, we do have different religious backgrounds as well as nonprofit organizations that mentor people of all different faiths and backgrounds, because we have a very diverse religious population within our prisons. And it is the goal of Tennessee Department of Correction to make sure every person has a right to practice his or her religion. And so we also try to afford that same avenue for our inmates once they're released.
Okay. So Tina, you've been here 13 years. Yeah. I know we talked about how your program changed the lives of those you touch inside the facility, but how has your life been changed by working with the program?
I think being a volunteer is one of the most, personally for me, it's the most transformative thing besides having children that's ever touched my life. I think it changes your perspective. It gives you an insight into, there is no one that I cannot love once I've heard a part of their story. My compassion increases, and just really my overall appreciation for the freedoms that I do have, and changing the lens on how I look at anyone I encounter. Out in the free world, I carry those lessons with me. My greatest teachers, honestly, in my life have come from inside these walls. And what I do is a work that is restorative and redemptive and healing through music, but I also teach life application skills and different things. And I watch the women also teach me a lot of those same things, and how to just view the world with a much more open heart. And I think anyone who's considering volunteering, do it. Come in and give it a try, because you're going to empower someone else's life, but the great benefit of that is it will literally transform and empower yours.
Okay, so I think she just sold it for you guys, right? So obviously you've heard from these two wonderful ladies, and I'm sure at this point you're chomping at the bit to be a volunteer. So if you wanted to be a volunteer, you can go to www.tn.gov/correction, or you can call the lovely Deborah Thompson. And would you give them your number, please?
615-253-8261. Once again, 615-253-8261.
And of course, if you have your smartphone out, you can always find us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you are, that's where we are. So be sure to find us there. So ladies, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
I do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing all of you as volunteers soon. Have a nice evening.